Hi, everybody. It's Alan Sandidge, aka at Actively Lazy 85 with Fantasy Six Pack, coming at you guys to kind of update you real quick on an article that I put out. Figured we'd do a video to run along with the article because if you're like me, you're not always reading. You sometimes rather do a video or a podcast. So I thought I'd get that information out to you guys in a timely manner so we can do both. If you're looking at the war zone behind me, just excuse it. I got a 5-year-old man. I can't keep up with them half the time. But what I can keep up with is some MLB action, and we are going to talk about futures today for the American League, starting with the American League Central. Looking at the odds, again, you can get these odds off DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever sports book you choose to use. I use DraftKings for the purpose of my article. And then when we look at the betting odds right now, the Cleveland Guardians are the betting favorite at plus 135. Minnesota Twins are behind them at plus 225. Chicago White Sox coming in third at plus 240. Detroit Tigers at 22 to 1 plus 2200. And then the Kansas City Royals plus 30 to 1 or 30 or 3,000. Sorry. So looking at the AL Central, what I highlighted in the article, I kept it pretty brief, but really the basis here is that I think that the managerial advantage for the Cleveland Guardians, along with their expectations this year, I feel like we're going to see some upward growth to a team that really exceeded expectations last year. I even went back and looked at some of the 2022 articles before the season started. Barely any mention of the Cleveland Guardians. They were young. Most of the articles were questioning when we would see Jose Ramirez traded. And obviously he didn't get traded, and they made the right move not trading him. But they ended up winning, I think, 93 games, which I think is phenomenal for that team. A very underrated pitching staff. Did move some guys out of the bullpen in what should have been a transition year, but the people that they brought up, and even some of their younger arms like Tristan McKenzie, I fully expect them to take some leaps. If you're looking for a Cy Young contender, I think Shane Bieber is a valid argument. He's not my pick, but again, he's a great pitcher. And the only thing that you worry about with the Guardians is that they stay healthy, which is pretty much what you're going to worry about for every team that I mentioned, or every team in general with such a long season. The Twins have a shot at second, but I think losing Jose Abreu for the White Sox is just going to be too much to overcome. He's a big key cog in the middle of that lineup. He is now with the Houston Astros, kind of an under the radar signing by the Astros, but either way, significant loss for the Chicago White Sox. And the Royals and Tigers are just rebuilding. They're just not there yet. However, I will say, if you want to follow the Tigers throughout the season, they do have moments, or they did have moments where they were very competitive and were pretty valuable at some point. And I think that's, again, managers matter. If you have guys like AJ Hinch for the Detroit Tigers, who understands how to navigate young teams, understands how to win baseball games. I know it's something that doesn't get talked about a lot, but in the AL Central, I really think that is the key difference maker. Francona is a stud. He's gonna go to the Hall of Fame. I think last year was obviously his best work yet, but he knows his team. He knows how to get the most out of these guys. They're young. I think Jose Ramirez might be their oldest player, or what you would consider their senior player, and he's not even 32 to my knowledge. So I'm very excited about them. Plus 135, I think, is great value. I'm going to even look into later articles where I talk about their win total. If their win total is anything around what they had last year, like 93, I'm definitely jumping on it. I think they have a great year. Switching gears to the AL East, which is pretty much the signature division of the American League. I think when people think American League baseball, they think Yankees, they think Red Sox, they think Blue Jays, Orioles. Like, these are the teams that, especially in my area out here in Richmond, Virginia, we see them a lot. Nationally televised games, you're going to obviously see a lot of Yankee games. And even with the Blue Jays having young studs like Vlad Jr., you're going to start seeing them more and more on TV as well. Now, I took a different stance here. What you guys will learn as I go along with my podcast and videos and gambling picks, I like to try to maximize my value accordingly with the risk. The safe play would be the Yankees. All right. The Yankees are plus 110. They're the betting favorite. Blue Jays coming in second at plus 215. The Rays are plus 380. Boston 17-1 plus 1700. And then the Orioles, the long shot in this division, plus 2200. So the Yankees would be the safe pick. Made some decent acquisitions at the pitching staff. I think their starters will be better this year. A little worried about the back end, the bullpen, which has been pretty much their strength. And it's not because they lost Chapman. It's more so because of the guys that they're trying to fill in with Chapman just don't seem to be that healthy. And then you got Aaron Judge coming off the MVP season, historical season, and still got Giancarlo, who's a threat with the bomb. Like, the Yankees are the Yankees. There's nothing to expect other than what they always do. They're going to score runs. They're going to probably strike out a lot in spurts. And then they're going to have moments where it looks like this is the best lineup in Major League Baseball, and you would be well or do well to just stay out of their way. So I don't expect anything of that nature to change. The Blue Jays, interesting team. I just think people are a little too high on them. They don't have the pitching for me, and then their bats have been inconsistent last year, and they're still young, which you would expect them to peak at some point. And I think that's what a lot of people are expecting. That's why they're coming in as the betting second. They're expecting them to peak this year. They too lost some key components, but I don't think Teoscar Hernandez is as good as everybody thinks he is. He is a powerful bat, but I know in watching last year, there were plenty of times where he just didn't have the timely hits that they needed, which again, last year for the Jays kind of was that for everybody. I think even Vlad had an off year per se. I focused on the Tampa Rays at plus 380. I think there's good value here at almost 4-1 for the Rays. One of the key things I pointed in the article was that head-to-head over the last 5 years, the Rays have actually been better than the Yankees. And I think that will be a deciding factor when you're determining who's going to win this division, is the head-to-head. The Blue Jays sometimes play spoiler. I think they routinely split with the Yankees here and there. I know Vlad loves playing the Yankees, but I think they're pretty much it's a push for the most part. But the Rays seem to be the team that can give the Yankees fits, especially when they're healthy, and then find a way to overcome the Blue Jays, whether it be home or away. They just don't have those wild splits that you see in a lot of teams. And then the biggest thing for the Rays to me is their pitching is still underrated. Like, they are a deep team with starters, with their bullpen. And then what's unheralded is their versatility as a pitching staff. I think they're the guys who started the opener stuff, or if they didn't start it, they made it popular, or they make it work better than most teams, where they pretty much pitch their closer in the first inning or first 2 innings, and they bring a guy in to kind of do like a long start. And they've got versatility within that staff that they can switch it out. They don't have to use the same guys in these spots anymore. And their starters are studs, generally studs. But again, the main thing with them is they have to stay healthy. I think last year they were the team that really couldn't overcome the injuries. The Yankees had plenty of injuries too, but still they had an MVP candidate in their lineup for the most part. And when they didn't have an MVP candidate, they had a former MVP candidate in their lineup. And they had World Series winners in their lineup. Like, there was a lot of experience. The Rays don't necessarily have that kind of experience. They don't have an it guy. I think people are looking for their it guys to step up, because they do have a youth movement in Tampa, but last year was just a little rough for them. Hoping, and I'm betting, that this year will be different. If you like long shots, I did mention this in the article. The Orioles got a lot of young talent, 22-1. take a stab on it. I mean, stranger things have happened. They were in contention to make the playoffs for most of last year. Nobody gave them a shot. I actually think they will be a little bit better this year. And again, you expect a learning curve for younger teams at some point. So it could be that a sophomore slump hits the entire team because, again, they were very young last year. But I think that the talent there is real. They kind of missed out on the pitching sweepstakes a little during the offseason. I was expecting a little bit more from them. But the youth that they have, one of the guys I will highlight here later on, should be enough to at least make them competitive again this year. And that's all you can really ask for with the Orioles. AOS, it's the Astros, man. I mean, the AL in general, it's the Astros. Hate to say it, I really do, because there's no value in Houston. Houston, the betting favorite, minus 180. The Mariners are coming in behind them, plus 310. Rangers plus 850. Los Angeles Angels plus 850. And then the Oakland Athletics have the longest odds in the American League in general, plus 20,000. So they are 200 to 1, which is about what you would expect from Moneyball. Yeah, Astros got better, which I hate to say that. And again, it's weird to say that. And in the article, I compared them to the Golden State Warriors, where this is a championship caliber team. Their core, championship caliber, plenty of experience, and they win a championship and then turn around in the offseason and make winning moves. So I talked about, maybe there being potentially a slump or World Series hangover. And I've been to some Astros games since the scandal, and it would be very hard for them to ever forget that they are pretty much the most hated team in baseball, week in and week out. And they have every reason to continue to be motivated to win, because even with this World Series, people still question whether they're a valid team or not, whether Altuve is a valid player, because he had an awful year compared to years past. And there's a lot of whispers of, see what happens when you're not banging on the trash cans. And, and I'm sure they hear that. But at the end of the day, they have arguably second, third, fourth, depending on where you have them on the list, best player in baseball. Yordan Alvarez is an absolute monster. I still don't understand why people pitch to him. He is modern day David Ortiz. And I know people are going to be like, that's ridiculous. But the guy is as clutch as they come. If you saw any of the postseason last year, don't pitch to this man when the game's on the line. I would, even if bases were loaded and it was a 2-run game, I would walk him in the postseason and give up 1 run rather than let him swing the bat, because he is really that good. The Mariners, unfortunately, learned that the hard way. And it's just crazy to me. And people continue to keep challenging him. But one of the great things about Yordan, and one of the reasons why I will talk about him later when I get to the MVP portion, is that he's not a traditional left-handed power bat. You can't really shift on Yordan. He can hit left-handed pitching arguably as good as he can hit right-handed pitching, maybe even better, which is why last year when the Mariners tried to platoon him with the lefty versus the lefty, I even questioned that. Like, do you do your research? The guy hits left-handed pitching. Similar to Juan Soto when he was with the Nationals and he was at his peak, he had no trouble hitting left-handed pitching as a left-hander, which isn't what you traditionally see in today's game. And Yordan has learned touch. He can shoot it the other way. He can shoot the other way with some pop. And he knows how to even lay down bunts. I've seen him practicing here lately. So the sky's the limit with him. I really think he's a 285 to 300 average. Like 285 is a bad season for Yordan at this point. So, and he's got protection now because Jose Abreu is a very good ball player, and I'm pretty sure they're going to either stick him in front of Yordan or after Yordan. And even before that, he had Bergman, I think, behind him, or Tucker behind him. So they and Altuve or I think Pena was in front of him, but they've got a lot of depth in that batting order, and they picked up a great catcher who can hit as well. So I highlight all that. They lost pitching, and we kind of knew that was coming. Justin Verlander was leaving, but the guys that they had behind him, I don't think are that bad. Also, to note, they've spent a lot of time playing without Verlander. He's an amazing talent, local guy, big fan of his, but I don't think the Astros will truly be hurt without him. I think both parties will do well this year. AL Rookie of the Year, I went with the betting favorite, Gunnar Henderson. I put him as third base, shortstop, second base. He's like he could play anywhere in the infield for the Orioles. Some of the reports I was reading said he was going to be third base. I've seen him play shortstop. He's a good talent. He's just as good as the guy they had last year. He's just as good as pretty much Julio Rodriguez. Like it's just an incredible talent. And so the main reason why I went with him though is because I believe he's gonna get the most playing time of all the rookies and the most exposure of all the rookies. So it's kind of like it's kind of like what I'm doing with my AL MVP and Cy Young winner. I just think that he's gonna be in the face of people so much that the other guys are just not going to get the necessary exposure, even if they're better. Like it's just how it goes. I think the Orioles market is a little bit better, especially considering how they almost had the rookie of the year last year. I feel like a lot of people are invested in their young talent because they really want to see these guys excel. So I'm going to bet on the fact that he's going to get the exposure. He's going to get the most playing time, and we'll see some good results from him. MVP. Okay. So in the article, I noted that I was looking to try to find a way not to pick Shohei Ohtani. And in that process, he hit a 3-run homer off of one knee in Japan. And I posted the video of it. He's just good. There's no other way to describe it. The guy is amazing. It almost seems unfair to have him be able to do the MVP and the Cy Young, but his bat actually isn't bad. I think last year was a little off year for him. I think some people made some adjustments on him, and it took him some time to adjust. But the last 2 months of the season, I thought I saw a good improvement, and then I see him, hitting so far in his exhibition games and stuff. He's amazingly strong, actually pretty quick too for his size, but more technical than people give him credit for as a hitter. Last year, the only reason why he didn't win MVP, I think, is because Aaron Judge was so historical. I also think there's some bias that his pitching numbers do kind of leak into the MVP conversation. It's hard for voters to overlook that he is two different players, one at the plate and one on the mound. So I feel like there's going to be a little bump there for him as well. He's the betting favorite at plus 200. It's really not that valuable, but I'm going to play it anyway. I feel like it's safe, and you can always hedge along the way. I put Yordan Alvarez as my long shot at 11-1. Again, if he hadn't got hurt last year, I think he would have made a valid challenge to Aaron Judge. But again, breaking the Roger Maris record and just being on the Yankees probably would be enough of a boost anyway. But I think Yordan is more consistent than Aaron Judge. So I feel like if he gets a full season under his belt this year, you're going to see the MVP-like numbers the entire year, and that would put him in the argument. And his team is going to be winning games, probably 1 or 2 overall in the American League, which will give him a boost as well. So I have him as a valid long shot. With the Cy Young, obviously after what I just said, Shohei Ohtani is my Cy Young pick at 12-1. This article was done. I typed it up a couple days ago. I don't know if that's going to change or not. If you like Shohei, take him right now on any prop bet or anything that you like. He will get bet down so much. He's a marketable star. He's being pushed to be the face of baseball. People who just want to throw some money at something will always go with names like that they see on ESPN and so forth. And Shohei will be out there, so you have to take that in consideration. 12-1 for Cy Young is kind of crazy. The guy can really pitch. I put in a little story in there about how he was messing around with like a sinker in practice and decided to throw it in the game randomly against the Mariners, and the coaches, everybody was like, what is he doing? They didn't even know what the pitch was. And somebody looked it up. He was throwing 97 and a sinking fastball that he had never really thrown before. And it was breaking 2 to 3 inches more than all the other 97 mile per hour sinkers in the league. So he is a phenomenal talent. Like, I cannot stress that enough. The hype is real with him. And I want to cash in on the Cy Young for sure, because I always thought he was a better pitcher than a hitter. And he's a very good hitter as well. So getting him at 12-1 is crazy. He gets a lot of strikeouts. He's stretched himself into being a 6 to 7 inning guy. The Angels' very back end of the bullpen isn't as bad as their middle relief. So as long as he can get to 6-7 innings, I feel like he's going to get the wins that he needs. If Mike Trout stays healthy, they'll probably be 3 or 4 games better on his win record when he starts than when he wasn't playing. So again, there's a little boost there for him as well. But Shohei is real. 12-1, as long as he stays healthy, is probably the best value on that kind of talent that you're going to ever see again for a pitcher of his caliber. Like, that's just, like, I don't even know how to explain that. I thought it was a typo when I saw it, and I looked at other sites, and yep, people have him around like 10 to 12-1. So give me all the coins on Shohei Ohtani. But that will conclude my American League preseason future bets. I do love future bets for baseball because you place them, and then by the time they cash, you've already forgot about them anyway. The most infamous one that I played was the year that the Chicago Cubs won the World Series, and they were expected to be really good that year, so it wasn't like I got them at like 20-1. It was like 6-1 or something like that. But I put a couple $100 on it, and when they won, I actually forgot, and my friend had sent me a screenshot of me at the ticket counter putting in the bet, and I was like, oh snap, I do need to find that. So don't be me. If you place a future, keep your receipts. But again, good luck to everybody. Feel free to fade the picks if you don't agree. Feel free to comment, leave me some background. Also, send me any suggestions for Nanny as well. All right, I'll catch you guys next week. Thanks.